But we begin with the indictment of yet another advisor of former President Donald Trump.
Steve Bannon is expected to surrender himself to authorities in New York State on Thursday. The charges remained sealed in an indictment filed by the state. They are believed to be similar to the federal fraud charges Bannon faced back in 2020. In that case, he was accused of taking funds from a private fundraising effort to build a border wall. Bannon pleaded not guilty to the federal charges. He was later pardoned by former President Trump. So let's bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane for more on this now. Scott, great to see you. So what more do we know about the nature of these charges? It all seems very secretive at this stage.
Yeah, but Tanya, it also sounds very familiar because Steve Bannon was charged with a case similar in the past, that federal case in which he was accused of fraud, of taking money he helped raise for this border wall initiative called We Build the Wall, and taking some of that money along with co-defendants and using it for personal expenses. He not only was charged, but his co-defendants were prosecuted in this case. You'll recall that not only was Steve Bannon pardoned by former President Trump, therefore absolving him of any criminal liability in this case, but the pardon was one of the last things former President Trump did before leaving office, January 20th, 2021. The federal pardon doesn't preclude a state prosecution for Bannon, and here's the thing. Not only is he expected to appear in court tomorrow morning to begin the process of responding to these state or local charges, but he is still navigating the federal prosecution for contempt of Congress he faced for defying and snubbing the January 6th Select Committee. He was convicted at trial, and he faces sentencing in that case in the coming weeks. And there is a mandatory minimum in that case, Tanya and Elaine. He is sure to be sentenced to some amount of prison time, up to a 2-year maximum, and that sentencing is coming fast.
And Scott, the former U.S. Attorney General under President Trump, Bill Barr, says the government should appeal the judge's decision to appoint a special master to review the documents recovered from Mar-a-Lago. Let's listen to some of what Bill Barr had to say.
I think was wrong, and I think the government should appeal it. It's deeply flawed in a number of ways. I don't think the appointment of a special master is going to hold up, but even if it does, I don't see it fundamentally changing the trajectory. In other words, I don't think it changes the ball game so much as maybe we'll have a rain delay for a couple of innings. But I think that the fundamental dynamics of the case are set.
So, Scott, do we know if and when the Justice Department could choose to appeal the decision?
Now, Elaine, we know the next two things that are likely to happen. The Justice Department decides whether to appeal or whether to roll with it and just go through that special master process, let an independent third party review the items and then proceed with their investigation. We also know there's a decision to be made about who's going to be the special master. That decision over the special master and choosing him or her has a deadline. That has to happen by Friday, and both the Trump defense team and the Justice Department can and should weigh in, according to the judge. The other matter about whether to appeal, there is no deadline on that, so it could happen any minute or could happen 2 or 3 months from now. There's no firm timing nor any mandate on the Justice Department to decide soon. There are any number of legal experts, outside legal experts, who say the Justice Department should and could do both. Appeal the ruling to avoid a precedent being set in this type of case and let the special master process move forward. There are legal experts, including William Barr, the former Attorney General, who say you got to appeal because the precedent set by this Florida judge ruling is potentially dangerous moving forward, allowing for executive privilege over possible national security documents of a former president's possession. But no timing is certain. All we know is the Justice Department has to make the next move before we see what happens next in court.
And Scott, I want to pivot just a moment here to Oath Keepers founder Stewart Rhodes, who, as you know, just fired his attorney just over 2 weeks out from the start of his trial. Can you tell us a little bit more about his decision to do this?
Yeah, this is going to end up with a court hearing at the end of the day today here in Washington, D.C. Stewart Rhodes will appear asking at the 11th hour to delay his trial in his seditious conspiracy case from January 6th. That trial was supposed to begin September 26th, just a couple of weeks away. But we learned through court filings he has fired his defense lawyers, brought on a new defense lawyer, and the new lawyer says he's new to the case. He needs time to get ready, so he'll ask for a delay. We'll see how the judge responds to that. The judge has been kicking back at all of the requests for delays from Rhodes and the other Oath Keepers defendants, and there have been many. But the thing is, Stewart Rhodes is quite clearly at this moment the top-level defendant in a January 6th case, as things stand now, accused of raising money, accused of positioning or preparing arms, guns outside the city limits, accused of conspiracy, of planning ahead of January 6th, planning for possible attack and to block the peaceful transfer of power. There are nearly 900 defendants in January 6 cases, but none of them faces the significantly high and the strong accusations Stewart Rhodes faces and the potential prison time Stewart Rhodes faces. We watch every movement in this case because at this moment, it is the top line case.
Very, very serious charges he's facing. Scott McFarlane in Washington, thank you so much.